This is Contractor Cents with Ruth King.
Welcome to Contractor Cents. Here you discover ideas, tactics, news, and information that matters to your contracting business and you. I'm your host, Ruth King. This episode is sponsored by HVAC Trust Books. Go to hvactrustbooks.com to discover how this tool can help you close more sales. Thank you for joining us. Here's how we will help your business and you today. Stupidity. Yes, stupidity can cost you a lot of money. When you don't pay attention and you don't check, you can have a $400 roll of duct tape or a $700 oil nozzle. These situations, both of them, happen to two of my clients. Make sure that they don't happen to you. I'll tell you the story of the $400 roll of duct tape first, then the $700 oil nozzle, a $3 part, after the break. So let's get started. And these are true stories, and they literally did happen to two of my clients. So an installer and his helper are on a job, and they're replacing an HVAC system, and they run out of duct tape. They need it, and they ran out of it. So they go to the truck. There isn't a roll of duct tape on their truck. And they go back to the shop thinking, all right, we need duct tape to be able to finish this job. We can't go any further. And they go back to the shop, and there, believe it or not, is not a roll of duct tape in the shop. None. Zero. Nada. So what did they do? They go to the supply house, both of them, to get duct tape. One roll of duct tape. Now, they didn't think to get two or three. They got one roll of duct tape. So, your normal roll of duct tape, what, $6 maybe? Think about this, all right? So, when we looked at it and examined it and figured out what the costs really and truly were, there were 3 non-productive hours, all right? By the time they stopped work, drove back to the shop, found no duct tape, drove to the supply house, got a roll of duct tape, and went back to the job. It was 3 hours, all right? Then the job took an extra 2 hours to complete because they had all this time that they were not working on the job that they had to go find a $6 roll of duct tape. So it actually was a little over $400 in cost. So think about it this way. The labor had 3 non-productive hours, and they were about $50 an hour. So that was $150. There were 2 hours of overtime. So that's $150 for the lead and $100 for the helper. So if we add that all up, that's over $400. And think about it. A $6 roll of duct tape costs the company over $400. Not exactly what we really want to have happen. So how do you avoid this? Number one is you need a consumables list. And if you want my consumables list, i.e. duct tape, shoe covers, oil, screws, wire nuts, things that are never inventory and should always be on a truck so that you don't have to stop and go to a supply house, send me an email. My contact info will be at the end of this podcast, or call me. I'm happy to email it to you. And make sure that, take that as a baseline and then use it and make sure that all trucks are stocked with whatever consumables you put on your list at all times. And then there's some consumables in the shop. I'm not expecting, or asking you to have hundreds of boxes of duct tape, but, have a couple just in case, and if you get to the last box of duct tape, guess what? Order some more. It's, think about it. It is much cheaper to have rolls of duct tape in the office rather than spend $400 because there was none. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So, the key is to make sure you've got everything that you need for a job. And whoever's doing the job materials list, should make sure that the materials are all there for the job, but also should check the truck of the installation crew to make sure that they have duct tape, they have wire nuts, they have rags, they have drop cloths. That's another one. We don't have to go there. You can imagine how much that cost. and a customer who's not a happy camper. But make sure that they have all of it at all times, all right? So that's the install side. Now, the service side can do something just as silly because it may not be a roll of duct tape. It might be something else that would be, I ran out of wire nuts, or I ran out of a box of screws, or I ran out of oil. Crazier things have happened. So make sure that you have your consumables on your service truck, and make sure you have your consumables on your installation truck. And so the warehouse should check weekly to see what's obviously in the warehouse, and check the trucks weekly for non-use, and also check for overuse. I mean, how many times do guys take batteries? Oh, I just need batteries. For what? You're taking batteries every single week. You're taking duct tape every single week. You're taking caulk every single week. Do you really go through that much of it? All right. So non-use and overuse are both something that you have to watch for. And just make sure that it doesn't happen. And the last thing I want to hear is another story of a $400 roll of duct tape. All right, when we get back, I'm going to give you the $700 oil nozzle story. Thanks for listening to Contractor Cents.
Do you ever have warranty leak issues? One of Ruth King's clients did about 4 years ago. Thousands of dollars in expense and unhappy customers. She solved this problem for him, though. How? With a leak letter that every customer must sign when a service technician discovers a refrigerant leak. Once they implemented the letter, there were no more warranty leak headaches. No warranty leak callbacks. Happier customers. The surprising result was more replacement sales, too. To get a copy of the leak letter for free, just send Ruth an email at ruthking@hvacchannel.tv. That's ruthking@hvacchannel.tv.
We're back. Thanks for listening to Contractor Cents. Before the break, I gave you how a roll of duct tape costs a company more than $400. Now I'm going to tell you the story of how an oil nozzle, a $3 part, costs the company over $700. And if you think about it, not all of you do oil work. It's generally up in the north and things along those lines. But, suppose it's the $700 filter. You'll get the idea. All right. So service technician is doing a maintenance on an oil system, and he didn't have a nozzle in his truck that was the right size. So what did he do? He stopped work. He stopped the maintenance check, went to the supply house, and got a nozzle. $3. He went, stopped what he was doing for $3. All right. So the numbers are probably going through your head right now as we talk. All right. So when we looked at it, it was 2 non-productive hours, i.e. he stopped the maintenance, he drove to the supply house, and he drove back to finish the maintenance. So we have 2 revenue-producing hours and $700 in cost for a $3 part. And you're going, how do I do that? How does that actually work? Well, labor, the 2 non-productive hours were $200. He's about $100 an hour. And the 2 non-revenue hours that he had were $500 because their average service ticket is $250. Now, you might argue the fact that this was a maintenance call. All right, so maybe he can't go and do a COD call or something like that, but he could be working on another maintenance call at that time. And so let's assume that the service ticket, instead of $250, the average maintenance service ticket is $100 or $125. That's still $250. That's still $450 for a $3 part. All right. You can make the numbers anything you want with respect to the loss of revenue producing hours. But the reality is you lost 2 hours of revenue producing time. Billable time. And you know me and billable time. The only thing that we can manage well is the labor hours that our employees work. That's it. All right. So here's how we solve that one. The dispatcher or the warehouse person or whomever is responsible for maintenance, make sure that the technician has the filters he needs, the nozzles he needs, the pads he needs for humidifiers, or whatever is required by the maintenance call. All right. I know many, many companies where the first of every month, what they do is they order all the filters that they need for that particular month's service. And they order all the belts that they need. They order all the nozzles they need. They order everything that they need for that month's service. And there's places in the warehouse, assuming you've got the space, and hopefully you all do, where they have Mrs. Jones, company A, B, and C, Mrs. Smith, company D, E, F, whomever it is. But they are all labeled and ready for the service technicians to come pick up what they need to make sure that the maintenances are done properly and efficiently, and you don't have to stop and run to the supply house. I hear stories all the time of a technician, I got to run to the supply house and get a filter. I mean, give me a break. Figure out how much that filter is really, really costing you. You'll do this. And you just need to make sure that you do it on a regular basis. First of every month, figure out the maintenances that are due that month, whether it's residential or commercial. Order all the filters, get them stacked up. Order all the nozzles, get them stacked up. Order all the special filters, all the belts, all the whatever you need. Make sure they're in the warehouse so that nobody has to stop doing what they're doing. And by the way, don't put them on the tech's truck because they will damage them. And then they're going to run to the supply house and get another one because they damaged it. Not exactly what we want to have happen. Okay, so I think that these two stories show you the importance of making sure that you have what you need from a consumable standpoint on the trucks. It takes almost no time to make sure that there's backup in the warehouse. It takes almost no time to make sure that what they need is on their truck and they don't have to stop work for something stupid. And usually I don't use the word stupid, but in this particular case, it was stupid. All right? So please, 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 please don't do this. And if you need the consumables list and my backup for consumables that you can start making your own list from, just email me or call me and I'm happy to send it to you. So thank you for joining us. Choose one thing that you discovered and implement it in your business. These ideas, tactics, and strategies help you make more money, or in this case, save money, have more free time, and give back. If you like today's program, spread the word. Please review this podcast on any device you're listening to it on. Help a fellow contractor make more money too. For comments or questions, call me at 770-729-0258 or email Ruth King at hvacchannel.tv. Thanks for listening. Have a great and profitable day.